continue. In Colombia, there is a town, Carthago, Carthage, that is not lost in name. Carthage was, as is known, a city located in present-day Tunis that is Islamicized in the 7th century. Now, people who establish cities, cities get established on in mental first. So he started out by write plans and get it established, vote or whatever. But a lot of Moors who established cities, and uh, even as far up to the 1800s, like when we go into Liberia and established cities, we would call those cities like Maryland and stuff that we already know. So I can imagine a lot of Carthage were under different spellings around. I think one of them was Chicago. I think Cartago and Chicago was the same thing, just spoken by different Moors who got different spellings. My story, remember history. So the surroundings appear toponyms that a Spanish discoverer could hardly imagine in the 16th century. Antiqua, Antioquia, Palmyra, Armenia, and Susa. There were many other evidence that demonstrate uh, the existence of Muslim presence, you can say Moorish presence, in America before Columbus. There's no doubt that Islam was there. The king of Portugal admits in the conquest of the power of Sharif in Morocco, in America. See, that's why I was saying Morocco or Sharif of Morocco could be from anywhere because he was they talking about the kingdom out within. And be in Morocco, wherever he at. So we see again the Moroccan, especially the ones spelled like that, the Adamites called that the savior. Whoever that is, they're looking for a Moroccan. And we'll go faster. I know the last two we were going faster, just trying to cover a lot. They've been looking at the Japan literature, and they were looking at their names and and stuff like that too. And they started to realize somebody must be bringing that day because they got aspects of it with that because people grow up and they get these lessons. They embody it. They grow up and and that story connect with them. That's why people think that a lot of different cultures take that one story, but they all got their own version of that. Like this man, Mr. Omaru. I think Mr. Omaru family documents. And his name is Mr. Omaru, so they actually get them lessons. So a name like that. Definitely understand. They got a Morokawa. They owe Morocco, Japan. That's, that's before all the world wars and shit with Japan. So other people talking about this Arabi, which they say again Arab, or rabbi. Talk about the same people. See, in Aramaic, remember that's the language of Jesus, and They be using the term Maury, as he'll listen to this all day. People are calling this all day in Aramaic, Maury. So man, he probably just get tired of asking them, y'all ain't no Maury? Thought y'all been gods. And again, they already know. They're having a conversation on this website, and everybody say, yeah, Maury. And Leah. L-Y, act, they say. Basically, this one. Let's continue. More. And then Rodboni. And say more vernacular pronunciation. Amar. Classic Siri. Mari. See, our Lord, he would have been hearing that all day. Morani. Allah. I don't know why the preachers don't tell you this. They say, want to change the name of the Philippines, he won't go back to the kingdom of Allah. Marlika. Because they probably got records that show that that's where they've been for Philip, King Philip, Felipe II. Come and put them out of the jurisdiction of Philippine now. You that's your king and your God now. So that manifests into this form. Because they had know how to manifest too. They had those same understandings. Magic. That's one thing I don't see most Americans doing. Not all, but because I got I know some who got the all world maps around this motherfucker. You wouldn't even know where that is. You think that's another planet when you see that world map. That's how free they is. And we ain't even started this level. We don't understand that we solidarity, and it's like you can maybe say take over the pain, not just making the map and making your child believe in that map. It's that simple. You got all these place names, these titles. Say the King Suite, where the kings use on the American continent. And you can see they're using the terms like Morocco, Fez, Sus, terms that we don't see today on the side. But they're talking about the American continent. The only thing we know is what Rome teach us in school is these Prince of Brazil. So we know he talking about this side because we see that spark, that understanding. None of us sparking. That's how far off we is in our own thing. Especially with stuff like this where even if we want to say we don't know what Moors is, I bet you know what the kingdoms of Guinea is. The mighty kings of Guinea. I know that's what black people want to, they'll tie themselves to that because Guinea is that African. So when they say that, they thinking about somebody like him or him and him. So, and this to them is the king of the Indies. Let's see, 1610, 1637, way after 1492. He still had very big, huge parts that you living free in your own kingdom. And Portugal, they came in Portugal. You see, this what we're saying when they calling you Alan Mar. In Africa, all across the street, they were calling that Aquende Mar. So he been the king of Portugal from Aquende Allende Mar in Africa. So even from some parts of North Africa we know today, and some places in America beyond the sea. Lord de Guinea. So he had relations with one of these kings of Guinea. So he put that title on Lord de Guinea. From the conquest and navigation of Ethiopia, Arabia, Persia, and India. And the Algarves. That's again, that's Morocco on that side, and Portugal, the southern part of Portugal. We definitely know about the Catholics and their possessions. We don't know about the Canary Islands. We know about the Canaries on the other side. We know about the Indies for sure, and their possessions in Africa and Tierra Firme. Africa's Brazil to them at this time. Cause they had one fort, and they had one house in Melilla, but that just been a house to facilitate this this trade. And the Felipe II, Canary Islands, the East and West Indies. That's when you're getting more close to the Indies. That's why he had the Philippines, because the East Indies islands, and the West Indies. And Felipe II, he the reason why we got a lot of those kingdoms leading up to getting closer to Texas and to the Gulf. Felipe, he got the Philippine Islands and all that up there, near on the east and the west. And we know Tierra Firme is Colombia and Venezuela and North Africa on our side, the Ocean Sea, the Caribbean, and the South Sea. These titles that actually are true, because people actually live off these. We're going to do a whole lot of history with these beliefs and jurisdictions, and living in them and getting beat up and all looking good. And just depends. Depends how close you've been in that jurisdiction, how much favor you had. Shit. Just a synopsis. So look up Alfonso X. That's who started what we look at as a Columbus or conquest by colonization. A lot of that ain't really been way, but have been a lot of that been you going back and forth yourself, dealing with world trade. But we gonna talk about somebody who messed that up. We can point to this nigga right here, Alfonso X, the Wise. He been trying to gain control of the American gold mines in competition with Portugal and other nations. He been Castile and Leon. That's why you hear me say that a lot. Look into the Castile and Leon family, because that's where American history lies. You see, on this Wikipedia page, they talking about everything modernly because they going through the books and they seeing these terms like Mazagan, and they see in Brazil and Ghana. They see how close Brazil and Guinea is. So in their mind, that's back and forth across the Atlantic. But we know we're talking about Guyana and Brazil, which is right next to each other on our modern day. And the Atlantic Islands is all that next to each other in our modern day. The Caribbean, Brazil, and Guyana. But they confused because we dealing with Turks and Moors. That's why they confused about this. So let's see, that's an example how you can use their own things. You just can see the truth in it. When they talking about Don Sebastian. You see it in the United States, in this, we see this as a country run by the Knights of Christ, but you see behind the scenes they got jurisdictions like this. They ain't gonna tell you, I'll fight you. They gonna say they don't know what Moors is, but and most of these buildings look like they are take your grandfather's buildings. Who really running it? You should walk right up in these and see what books they got hiding in secrets. You see Elmina. I think that's Elmina. Melina. I say Aloha, Honolulu. Aloha already Moorish. So they try, that's what they showing you. They already Moorish, man. That's a lot. And again, we say Moorish when you're just talking about what they're showing you on TV. Arabian and Islamic. That's just the part of it more than the most ancient. And I know for sure this one right here, El Zagaz, the Native American tribe. So the Native American tribe been on it too. Just like Meredith Quinn, that he said in his thing that he also find records that these tribes had treaties within the Moorish Empire. Let me see this book. Muslims and Jews, that's the thing, on a colony in the 18th century. And they going through down there every name. Every name say either Jewish or either Moorish, Celtic. They're not typical Celtic and Welsh. Sephardic and Moorish persons. They say who migrated, but through the whole book, so much names that I said, who's left? I mean, who been here? If for all these names, then when you see Safari, they're talking about Andalusia, they're talking about West Africa. Or Brazil, North South America, the islands, Barbados. Let's keep going, let's go fast. So in South Carolina alone, you're talking about all these names. And these are the names that we've been researching. These people so-called free people of color. Horry. That's definitely Robert Horry. Again, several identify as Sephardic Moors and Jews. Moors and Jews from Andalusia, but we really don't get New Spain as Andalusia. That's here. Florida, Andalusia, that's here. New France is here. New England is here. That's covering everything. Because you gotta understand, people draw maps and they gonna put New France on that. You don't know what your uncle map did not burn or got something else, but at the end of the day, he still been in New France free, running it. La Rochelle, the Savannah River, the south. You see the French was sailors. All these when people who just come to do business like today in the United States. We just forget all that. Let the settlers settle everywhere. The Indian Queen, as they say. Look at the outfit, just like my man at the beginning when we show. We had the red cape and the crown and the spear. He been conquering his Lord, so we had the same thing on. It's like ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, Mediterranean, right? And you see that little thing cross around thing. All that is what we see in the East. And like people ain't gonna just make up the same type things and it be exactly the same. You have a totally different culture if you ain't know about the other side. But look at the world right there. Always had known about the other side. The world. And Jaguar, that's another sign of nobility in America. You look at it, they didn't even know what side is African American, the same thing. You find them both in both sides. Then replace your God, the image, the image of you. They about to replace you. Replace his God. So that caused cause your children not to care about nothing, the cares of the life if they don't got a God that they can say is them, look like them, and not in the mundane way, in the way that it take Danny like 2 hours try to explain the last way. And like I listened to a show, someone who's smart and who got an understanding of loving himself and his people, right? But throughout the most of the conversation, he say, "Damn, white boy, I thought you supposed to be smart." I can start right there. That's a subconscious. That's a subconscious God. That why you saying a phrase like that subconsciously, you just give him special powers for no reason. That's why we don't even into us he ain't even white boy because the definition of white don't imply him truly in truth. You apply to him or everybody or anybody who do something good. Oh, that was white. In English, that was white. Even if a pet do something good, that was white. So in that context that he used it in, I assume he ain't talking about that definition of that term. The other definition I believe he talking about us when we check on the box on the applications when we inside in the United States, we filing out applications on paper, which is paperwork. That's another ambiguous term people use. They use terms like democracy, paperwork, uh, these little buzz terms that make people don't question nothing after that. Like, I will make you define that, and then we can continue the conversation because it's ambiguous. So the concept of God, we might think we don't. You can be an atheist. Like, you still can find out how you still recognize a God. Sooner or later, you're gonna say something or do something, and I can say, you subconsciously believe something that you don't really got no evidence of. I can show you. Sooner or later, you could do it. So we might as well face that and reverse that understanding. It affects children more than us as an adult, but we already not affected as the adult. But because of stuff like modern day, it's movies like all the heroes look like him, so they're gonna show you movies where you at the bottom of the lamp. It's the same thing, but just in a different forms in modern day. It's TV, movies, Wikipedia. On Wikipedia pages, they play you like them boy, like they sitting around trying to figure out ways to play you. On Wikipedia, them authors, they got a problem with people whose skin too dark on them pages. Go look up the golden age of Islam page on Wikipedia. People crazy. That's why we gotta make videos like these for ourselves. Because of religion, jurisdiction, caste systems. The United States using the caste system, from District of Columbia using that. The government of the United States, us, the people of the land who established the government on a piece of paper, ain't never established that. We clearly established people. 1774, all men were declared free and equal under God. So a caste system shouldn't exist after that date. Every caste system in the United States is a contradiction to that precept. But they play it everywhere. They play it every day. You play with them. You play with them when you say you black because if he ain't white, if white is, that's what I've been talking about. White is when you check on a piece of paper, when you go look that up, that's defined. So that means if somebody else didn't create that and defining that in modern times, that's a slave. That they the subject of whoever write that. They can change that. That's why you see them. You wouldn't see none of them people get on the news with "I'm white and I'm proud" shirt because they demonizing it now. Some people who got the power of that chess piece can do what they want to do with that chess piece. And do you know who got the power of it? To move it around, the people who understand what it is and they got nationality. Like the CCP. CCP come and deal with the United States through the caste system. They fund Black Lives Matter and let's fund the media to demonize the whites. The people who think they call it the whites, they just call that from the 14th Amendment after the war, and they create that application to find all those things down in Washington, D.C., and now you could be these people, and we'll run it. So you get the people who figure that shit out the hard way, and they had that event in Charlottesville. And go listen to what they say in Charlottesville, who they've been trying to talk to. They've been talking to people who got nationalities based off historical international law. Having fun. That's all the Democratic Party is, a bunch of people from all over the world who come here and they molest the people on the caste system. That's all it is in the grand scheme of things. about to get put in caste system under jurisdiction of the church. So you see, they already know that people had these things dealing with no till you free. Let's go faster. So this right here is Amr, and we can see some people trying to tell me in Arabic that they call America Amriki, and I've been trying to tell them that just further show that it's still dealing with the Mr, the one who gives commands in all these languages. It's the Aramaic, Akkadian, which is the Aramaic and Syriac. We're still dealing with this from the root of this, the Arabic before the Arabic. Okay, from the root of this. This is a pre-Arabic. And you see, when you got these dashes and stuff, that means over time, different places, different people are going to have another other words, and they can be able to make different versions of the word, like masculine, feminine, past, present, vowels, verbs, like this. But at the end of the day, it's still this. And mortals, martyr, more, all these words come from just the MR with different vowels added later. See, like Amr, Amriki. So to say, Yam al Amar. I am. This Khalid Muhammad, I say them, boy, I'm a more imperative. See, Amaru, the same thing, like we just showed Akkadian. And when we be seeing different versions around the world under place names, we think those things don't apply, but those just different versions of the word. First person singular, non-past, active, indicative. We just forget how to science our language, so we can't see those things. Like there's how many versions of the term. Form 1, Form 1, Form 1. Verbal noun, active participle. We don't even know what these things is no more. Everything some more do say, well, more is a verbal noun, though. So they get it. You being that. When you see that mu in front of them, that's why when you say Muslim, you will hear me say Mu Salim. So they talking about the verbal noun, the one who keeps the peace perpetually, a peacekeeper. I know what they talking about when they say Muslim. They talking about someone who joined a group and look like what that's supposed to be. You wouldn't call me a Muslim if you see me, I'll be around me, because I don't look like the Hollywood version of that. But when I start keeping the peace around you, you ask me why are you doing it as a Muslim. That's what it's supposed to do. See, a prince. So all of those, no matter if they put A-M-E-R like we got in America or A-M-I-R. In this dictionary been a nice one. They give you all of North Africa versions. Tripoli, Tunis, Algiers. But they all would come out to the same thing because of the MR, no matter how you flip it. The Edict of the Bey in Tunis. Amir Ali. Amir Ali. Amir Aline. Royal Decree. It's all language. A writ. Awamir. sovereign power. And the authority said, now you can see why they got those temples, those Moorish science temples all over the place. And then telling you to see why. I been thinking about that last night, all these treaties and stuff dealing with the United States and all this history dealing with people who they call Moors in these books. And nobody want to act like they walking around saying that who they are, except for a small group of people in North America walking around confessing that who they are. So why you can't be that? Everybody else can be that, but they ain't confessing who they are in truth. They acting like they being white people and black people with authority, but that don't mean nothing. So that means some people lying to you. That's why they say right here, al bar, the bar, step to the bar. They'll tell you that, but you can't deal with your own stuff. The Admiralty offers the jurisdiction of the admiral. So in English, they'll tell you that step to the bar. If you don't question what they're talking about, they will continue. That's why I always tell people America simply just means the land of the Moorish princes. Because an Amir is a Moorish prince. But yeah, you know the term prince. But an Amir that's what that is. Already, that's what it is. You ain't gotta say an Moorish prince. Amir. M-R. And Mir is Muqadr. It's Tamur in this version that deal with light personified. You can go on and on and on. Let's keep going so we can get right there. This right here is also we find in the southern areas what they call Ethiopia. And those people we see from that scrape also be on the other side. We find this in the Native Ancient American too. There's two versions, man and woman. We're dealing with a human being, the one, a man, and you got this one, a woman. Almara. So basically just in their higher self, Muru, the idea of manhood, knightly virtues, manliness, valor, chivalry, generosity, sense of humor. That's who Azim, he had all these, in the movie, he had all these things. Ancient Persian, not modern Persian, ancient. Marzuban, Mayor. They all deal with government, Mayor General, because they all just using the MR and just making different words from it. Because they go right back to Egypt as the one who gives commands. So that could be anything. It could be a head cook. He give command. It could be something dealing with this MR term. Your mother, she give commands to the children. Mayor. French mayor. So the term mayor comes from that. Then the mouth and the owl. The owl is the one, and the mouth is command. So the one who gives commands on the hieroglyphic, and it's pronounced phonetically Emir, I-M-I-E-R, but the I and the E don't exist. It's just the M and R. seal, like this. That's where we get terms like noble, Nebi, stuff like that. Nubia. You see the mouth, the feminine version. Always a feminine version. It's Nabat, Nubia, Nabatia. It's always a feminine, masculine version, and a neuter. And this right here is the most interesting one because we get Amriki. Let's say Lamar. It's Lamriki. We get Amriki. That's how they say America. Amriki. Got rulers, powerful leaders. So we know that term coming from this term. We're talking about some shit. Masters of solving and binding. You bind the devil with a constitution. You know, people who United States citizens who live in this country in their mind, they bind it by the Constitution. Because if you destroy that, you destroy the country that you claim to be under the United States. See, we got a historical presence on this land. We got kingdoms that exist long before the United States. We can go back to that if we destroy it, but other people can't destroy it because they have to disobey. That's what you was. We understand modernly our presence in the United States. The term black, just the term black, not black people. Our complexion of nobody's skin. The name that could be on the side of the crayon in that language. You see Nor, they use Nor in French for that color. But you see English is Negro, so we're supposed to bend this, and we was using this for this color in the past, in the recent past, really, until they switch it, because you start to figure out that's when you ain't been. Now you get mad when people use this term, but that's just another version of the color. Both versions. The color black, they add later as the name for this color. See, 1900s. And we already know that's what your grandmama used to say. Negro. I still wondering if they ever did use the term black. Not just for people, but even, I wonder if they've been saying so. The skies are muddy, nigger out there tonight. I wonder if they've been saying stuff like that. Using it just has a color. But this just the italic would make all these other languages modernly just the term. And see down here we got the Mozarabic. It's the language that we most likely been when we write America, Americanos, even this type of language, mixed Andalusian type of Latin, Mozarabic. So we had Northern Negro band. We ain't called, we ain't say, did nothing for Negroes. We did everything for Moors. Which is, what do you say, 80 million African Americans on the land. So you can say at least 100 million Moors protected by that treaty in North America alone. They know that's what it is. You see, they later switched this to mean this color. But in reality, this supposed to have been white. When we say this term, we supposed to be talking about this color. Like the other languages that come down from the Latin, the Spanish and the French. So they they switched it because it was possible to switch it too. It was possible, easily possible to switch it from the end. It's because against we already know we don't want to be that, so they switched it. Now we this again. You know, want to beat us back then, fighting against it. Rome need these people. That's who pull the country. They need them. I don't see how they can have that much fun they have when these people free, doing their own thing for their own people and themselves. The same thing they doing now. Got these people in the United States in every position possible. They can do the shit for themselves they want. Do it for Rome. So you got the Wiktionary masters, the magicians. They gonna play a lot. Yeah, I ain't gonna explain a lot of the stuff they play with. Where you can really start off how they wrong and error. And as a child, they already dehumanizing you because they get you as an adjective. An adjective is just something that describes a noun. It's not the noun. So it's not a thing. It's something that describes that thing. So they put you in the at number three. Start off with an object. That's the main reason why this word exists. I mean, this is the reason why we use this word to describe the objects. And number three, they try to use this because when you click this, they're gonna give you two usage notes. They're gonna give you two reason why they believe they got the right to write this. Right? So um, they use a Jet magazine, 1970s. So they saying black but I'm beautiful. And they use something else modern. So they use two modern usage from you using them on yourself. So that gets them the okay, now how you gonna write that inside you're gonna put that on paper. Get other people in the world to see the ignorance. So right here we can read the same belonging to or descended from any various African or Aboriginal, those terms don't exist as a group of people. Right? So you say African, Aboriginal, ethnic groups. That could mean apes. Because ethnic means you can put that in the animal kingdom zoology, you can use this term, ethnics. Talking about different animals. And you can talk about dark pigmentation of the skin dealing with apes and animals. So you got this whole thing ain't got nothing legally talking about binding you to humans. They could be talking about something else according to these word usage in this definition. Sad how they try to make but these terms in our colloquial speech, people will think they're talking about them. But as you can see for the other numbers, we don't much use these. We don't much use this word black for all the rest of these. We use it for the card game, Black Queen, Red Queen, but we don't say it. We don't use it for that, but that's what they could be using it for, bad, colloquially. And people were saying, yeah, you know that what it mean, but still, don't call me that. Period. I ain't got time to play with you. You don't gotta call you. Like you ain't come to this earth and God tell you that's where you gotta be. Okay. So don't let them call you that. Ain't nothing good. You see, at the bottom they put everything, all the usage, and there ain't nothing to show you in reality. Number three, they try to do, like that's a failure. I just show you how a lot of those terms, the term African, they got animals in Africa, and when they talk about animals and plants, they calling it Africanus. They using terms like that, Asiaticus. Aboriginal could mean plants or animals or food. The original plant of this land. Term ethnic also used in taxonomy. Race is also used in taxonomy. And it says sometimes capitalize alternate forms, the race related. So you're better off just clicking this. So you shouldn't even be on this page if they got this version. They're going to talk about how you call yourself just defined by you, I guess. That would be more honorable to separate it from other things. Then they put usage notes to let people know that yeah, these people in the United States who call themselves that. Not capitalized. They got some of them over there doing them too to themselves because they see that on TV. They see you doing that. They look up to you as a Moroccan, the savior. You see, look at that. Minorities, they know what these people was. The dark-skinned people on minorities got to go through that because the English colony, that's how they run the colony. You see all the English colonies, right? South Africa going through the same Jim Crow at the same time. When North America, I was looking around like this, like, why they ain't just looking at the other people in the world ain't going through this any darker than them? They're going to just keep going through this. And it's simple. You in the caste system. Now we got phones, smartphones. We don't much go put it in Google caste system and read. It was that trick they used. Again, they used the color black, which means this color, and this color. But they decided to just use them for this color. Like this. Come down from the Proto-Germanic. And you got Blackas. You got Blankas. So they could have used that for both in reality. But they take Hiwitas, which means a wise man, a wizard, a witch, a wise person. Hiwitas. And they turned that to white bling. And they easily did that by just making a new edition of the dictionary. It was the new edition. And every other edition after that. So in school, now it's just this, but no knowledge of where it come from, no etymology. At the end of the day, ain't no man is none of these because these just descriptions describing the color of something. And that's why B is to shine like the light, and it also means white, but not in our modern day understanding of a white person. Just it's like the Hiwitas. See where melanin come from, melas, ancient Greek. Just dealing with colors. This is an interesting page, black person. So you click that and they drop down. They tell you what all these languages, the word they got for a black person. So no longer just the color. Since they got TV and Rome nothing to convert the world, they all know they got a person that they know exists called black person. They all know that now. It's sad. So, they use, most of these places use the color, the name of the color. They ain't trying to call you this. It's because they racist against you. You racist against yourself because you confusing them people. They call you this because just like we show you in that last page in all the Latin languages, just the name of the color, this color. So you also call yourself a black person if that's what you want them to call you. Why they gotta translate them to the fake English version for you to be happy? That's showing your ignorance. You should, no matter what language you see, if that's what you us and you proud of, technically, you're gonna be proud of the English version. It's confusing to children because you got people who gonna tell them, stop saying nigga, brother. He's a black man. You just You just call them that in a different language. And you supposedly have a degree in college and all this thing. You still be saying that dumb shit in 2000. You got smartphones. Go look that up easy. And you see the Coptic, when they ain't had none of these terms, they only had one term for a black person. And they still got that term. They look in the books. They say, well, we know their true name, but we ain't gonna say nothing. In German, let me go show you the German. The German one interesting. So it's dated. That's the dated version for a black person. And you see they capitalize them because now ain't a color to them. It's talking about you. And I think that's where you really come from. Start calling these more different colors like black and stuff like that. And you see they talk about this one too, but they gonna put dated right there because nobody calling you. They ain't calling you this no more. But this the right name. They put derogatory, but they put dated, so they actually showing you the truth. If you know how to read it. Derogatory, dated. All these dated because they probably I know what they call you now in Germany. Who knows? But they go into these old books and they seen that they was calling these people this, and they were calling them this when they derogatory against these people. See? Masculine, feminine. All the Latin versions got masculine and feminine versions. And the Hebrew too got a Kushi. Kushi to the Hebrew language. So that's what it is for a black person. This page is everything for a black person, not the color. I show you the page we got the color black without the person. Just for Wikipedia, these authors believe that these terms are for you. You see, the whole language just got the true thing before the United States gave everybody an idea of who that is. In your mind, the black person that you call yourself, they show the world that that's a person. Another one I want to show you. And you see all the native, so-called native tribes. They got Indi for like this, Inda, Hindi, teach Hindi. So that right there tell you you've been known as the Indi. And Abyssinian, Hobson. Icelandic, I know you have Blamor. That's a Blackamoor, Blockamore. See, another Apache, Inda. All these tribes, hey, well, you ask the indigenous person here. That's what that means. See, motoring. A lot of these languages, once the language didn't be used no more, the terms you don't use no more. Either modern day people of these places just know you as a color now. That's interesting too. Kiekdam. Let's see, Habase. Like Abyssinian. But they watch movies too, just like everybody else, so they know they got people in those movies who black, who call themselves black. So they have to put their in the updated dictionary, change their term to Negro, to the color that they know was black. They don't got that color black in their dictionary in their mind because they ain't English Germanic speaking liars. They ain't got that phonetically. They got a different phonetic sound for that color. Like this right here, let's show you how ignorant seep in. You got Nigra sum sed formosa. I am black, but I am beautiful. The fact that you gotta put "but I am beautiful" show you that black inherently must be beautiful. If you gotta even use the term "but," that's that wrong. Telling you, you gotta get out of the room. We already talk about these stories that they got attached slave to all the time. I'm gonna show you this part right here because again, they can see the books that they reading is different. They know these people being called Morians. See about which was a name for black people. See how sad they not get. They'll rather say this your real name and say this was a name for you as this. This what they gonna call you. They don't care how you feel. This means that they hate these people in these stories and they want to do something. They want to destroy these stories so these people or steal it and make you something else. These Morians. You see, they go back to calling you black after they not find out even the Morians. Because the slave, the servants in the slave version, they can add to the black. They can't really add that to the Morians because them free people in their story wouldn't match up to being enslaved people. Like, lose their nobility over time because of these reconstructions. He going from Zamora to Louis Benoit. Louis Benoit. See, all these angels all across the jurisdiction. EORTIEO. Barack EO. When you look at the languages, the different languages, that means you talk about an empire of people going across and taking those languages with them. Again, it's like this gonna be probably the last video of the series. Well, the stuff that you gotta go back to feeding your kids so they wouldn't be out here letting other people tell them what stuff, mixing these spirits. There's Bene Elohim, the good angels, the good elves, the good moors. And that's what we raise our children up to be, good children, good people, and manifest. That's our manifest destiny. And people manifest destiny based off your historical records. They'll take your history and manifest destiny from. It's time you manifest your own with your own history. All these good stories, the stuff to look through. And know you're talking about different parts of the higher self. It's the fact that they show all these languages and versions of the empire, the ancient domain of Egypt, from west to east. Like Hannibal. They study all these too. And they study all these secret and give you the popular versions. And this one I use the rigid one, cushy. And just because they write stuff by that's why going fast, dying while trying to convey, just other men trying to write about stuff. You can go probably find a true understanding of these things yourself. I show you how even in America we had these ancient kings and these nobility in Africa and Asia and all over the world with these LEO and angelic order, Mari, Imra, Atun, Lady, Maru, Sun, Imra, Atun, different lady, Maru, Sun. I was in angelic order. Always been the order of the angels on earth. That's why I say it ain't never all of nothing. It ain't never gonna be all of the mosque or all of the church. That ain't gonna be out of order or whatever. You got a lot of good church and good mosque, good everything out there. And the good church teach their children that they're angels. Like they got a chain on. See, Byzantine and Hungary, them jurisdictions. Byzantine is everywhere with the jurisdiction of Byzantine, and it's like Morocco. So you had in Africa, you see Castile and Leon, like we talked about earlier. Castile and Leon kings, they all got the Red Cape Gang, same thing. You see red and white. I always see you gonna see that red and white all across the kingdom in different forms. Sometimes red, white, and blue. See how captive look like. So this book they do a lot of research into the oil, ancient Morocco, America. They get it. That's what they do. That's what Rome do to them perpetually. They try to excommunicate you first. But when you come into the light and the truth, they got a cross with your name on it. So they can hurry up and um, deify you so you wouldn't be real to the people. Which all that is freeing the people from the clutches of Rome. That's all he do. And perpetually he keep coming back on their ass. Keep trying to free them from the clutches of Rome. See, the Black. Nazareno nicknamed the Black. They want the dead version of you. They don't want the Moroccan or the Moor. You see, you got Holy Week, October 21st, Portobello. We will go across a Santo Nino de Quebec. That's why I say they even call it Moorish Children Nino, the Child Christ. It's the Philippines, across the empire. Oh man, I'm gonna go back to Morocco because he know it. They did the same thing. Felipe II. Guatemala. Temple of Santa Maria. Huacatlan. San Pablo. Caracas. Venezuela. Unless they connecting us, trying to say these people dress like this and these architecture is like this because they trying to because they West African influenced by woman, West African woman slave, Muslim woman slaves from West Africa. But this Bahia, Brazil, they don't know that that's the Morocco head of the kingdom. Stuff like this, the White House, Casablanca. Like I say, the word white that we see white today is supposed to have over the like black. It's supposed to be the word for white. Everybody else got the B word for white, that color, except for us. One particular English group of East Indian Company niggas. So we got the White House of the Igueno Huelo in Brazil. See man on there. That's red, white. Okay, accent, everything, culture. Maria Julia de Concepcion Nazare. Got it like this isn't even that far back, 1910 in El Salvador. Women having their own brotherhood and sisterhood and shit. But you already know, just like us up here, they've been assassinating these people and persecuting these people for being free. Black Latino, caste term. These are people who've been working with Felipe II and running a lot of the kingdoms in America. He started to go to war with them, and later Spanish started to go to war with these people. Later, because they started freeing a lot of the things, people, because they could understand the language and shit. Let's see, look. Bozales stores captured in Africa, which at that time been again South America and the Africa we know of and Asia. So it's a ambiguous term. So it could have been just people captured from a neighboring tribe who may not know the language of that colony. They would have given them these terms. All of this is a wash. We just deal with the truth. The fact that we're Moors. You see, they try to add them into the story somehow for you. Just in case you do your own research, you're going to find nothing about these people running around speaking Latin, Arabic, Portuguese, capturing or being captured, different stories. You see about black people who were either lived as free men. That don't make no sense because that don't exist. They tell you modernly, talking about Moors in the past, but calling them black people. See, they gotta justify it. Were brought through the Arab slave trade. Try to say they gotta bring you from somewhere else, because Moors ain't supposed to be here. See? Hurry up and try to teach your child before they find my video. They got certain examples. They got Esteban, which is Mustafa Azamor and his true self. And I believe he was one of those same red hit gang, higher self. Because when you read his story, they say by the time he get to the West Coast, Arizona area, he had hundreds of Indians he not collect from the different places he stopped. That's the same story of Jesus. He was giving the gospel and they even followed him. And they say he had know all the herbs, so he must have been healing. The same stories over and over again. These angels coming from with the same message in science. And they persecute him, his own people, just like the same story. His own people persecute him. The tribes that been down with him, in some way been jealous. Then you got the Amistad, emancipados. That's what they call you too. The emancipated. That's why I gave you Juneteenth. You've been emancipated. So this is a caste system, social, political, demographic in Africa. So you got in Africa, you got the same thing going on. They getting freed from their enslavement. A Frenchie. That's why I've been saying people were Frenchmen at that time. They've been talking about this term really, and somewhere been franchised, emancipated, freed. Illustrado. All these little terms like this. Those Roman terms, these Roman caste systems, the way to separate the people and then destroy them from within. That's before they go and destroy the Philippines. So you see, they pick some of them to turn them against their own people, act like they're better than them because they're smarter. You come to my college, we credit you. We say you the smart guy. Same thing they did over here with the talented tenth. Like y'all the ones smart enough to be civilized now. That's what they do. When you're in your own mind and history and understanding, then they got you. You have your own brotherhood and sisterhoods that include your family, your people. You raise all of them up to your level. You wouldn't separate yourself from the rest of them. And caste systems like that, really. They evolve. You already been evolved. You already been developed and evolved. Once they take the history from you and act like you've been just a wild man in the jungle and give you that history, all slave that they have to free, then it's a mental state when they gotta say, yo, y'all the evolve amongst each other, amongst this group of people, y'all the evolved ones. Still do things like that today under these caste systems, these mental states, word magics. And we follow along with these things. Celebrity, fame, accredited by colleges that we create out of our brotherhoods and sisterhoods. Because that's where colleges come from. We start as temples and societies, brotherhoods, sisterhoods, and they donate and they create these things, colleges. So if we ain't accredited them, then why you so smug about accreditation? If you don't know your history, you will know why they do these type of things to separate you. The gente of reason, gente de reason. The people of reason, the rational people. That's another way to separate you. And the system of caste. See, that's why we say Indians is the system of caste. That just means indigenous people. That just means indigenous is not a name of a people. It's a status. It's not a name of you. It's a adjective. So we be saying Indian what? Indian more. Not just Indian because that just means indigenous. That's who maintain their culture, live legally, recognized communities, and a caste. Ain't nothing wrong with being in the caste, but you better be the one at the top of that caste or running the caste. So as more as we create the caste and we run the caste. Outside of it, really much gotta be on the caste because we run who writing documents of the caste system. If we were to create a caste system in our kingdom, but most likely, I don't really find those type. I find like natural caste system where certain people do certain jobs because that's their skill, and certain people got a higher class because of their status, wealth, to how much elders they got in their family, the intelligence of their family, the men of their family who as generals. They got the general cast. They they produce good generals and stuff like that. Got the family who deal with health. So those natural caste systems, instead of ones they created on paper to destroy a people. And in with us again, why we call it Rome, even though we ain't in the city of Rome in Italy, we talking about the ancient empire, understanding through words and laws, which we still use today. You see, under Roman law, pater familias, we still use this when you get the tax form. They call it heads of household. So they still using Roman law in Washington D.C. Pater familias, head of household, head of family, and they still using people of reason, laws, and that's why they put those terms that don't mean nothing on those people so they could denationalize everybody. White, black, Hispanic, all those terms you can check on those boxes. Been made only after 1871 and defined. So the people who made it defined it is your king. So peace. I still gotta do another bridge. I got a good bit to go. Try to go fast and slow. You can't get through so much shit.